Has anyone ever tried to train a dragon?
It's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you.
Only you can bring our worlds together.
Yeah! We have to fight for their freedom.
And suddenly Frank came up and just gave me this phone. And I looked and it was FaceTime and it was Spielberg. He's like, hey, Gareth, ready for this? And you're like, oh, hi, Stephen, hi. He's like Santa Claus, right? Of cinema.
Hello, I'm Jacqueline Coley. Welcome to this special episode of Seen on the Screen, brought to you by Make It Universal and Rotten Tomatoes, where we talk movies with some of the people behind the scenes at NBC Universal. When entertainment works best, sometimes it opens a window into a world we've never imagined. Other times, it shows us a mirror image of our lives with a heightened sense of home. Today, we're going to dig into the question, what have you seen on the screen that does that? I'm here today with Gareth Edwards, director of Jurassic World Rebirth. Gareth, welcome to the podcast. Gareth, welcome to Seen on the Screen.
Thanks for having me. Well, I feel like I'm actually back in Thailand.
I mean, yeah, you've been on such an incredible journey with Jurassic World Rebirth. I really do have to start, though, before you get to direct movies in all these incredible universes that you've got to play in. At first, you were just a passionate film fan who bought a ticket to a movie. You
can say geek.
Geek.
Okay.
I mean, I'm with you on that
offended.
one. I'm with you. I'm a cinegeek as well. What was that first movie that really sort of sparked this love of movie motion pictures or just going to the movies or filmmaking?
I mean, look, I was born in an era of Betamax, right?
Yeah.
And my parents bought a Betamax cassette player and I managed to get hold of a copy of Star Wars. And I watched it to death as a kid every morning before school. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, I know exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to join the Rebel Alliance and help blow up the Death Star. And then you learn that you can't do that because it's this giant lie called being a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, maybe the second best option is I'll become a filmmaker and I'll tell lies to little kids about things they can achieve, but not really.
No one's dumb enough to go where we're going.
Making a film like this, it feels in a weird way like the best case scenario is you're trying to pass that torch, that gauntlet to the kids in the audience who, when I saw the original Jurassic, I was knocked for six and it just cemented for me, like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I don't care how it happens. Like, I'm just going to be happy if I get to do this. And so like your goal as a filmmaker is to try and carry on that cycle in some way.
I think it's so crazy when you think about the filmmakers that you learned from, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and then you think about the worlds that you've played in. You've made a Star Wars movie, one of my favorites, Rogue One. You've made now a Jurassic World movie, which is a part of the Jurassic Park universe and saga. And you've also made a Godzilla movie, which is another one where I feel like a lot of people had that same sort of spark with it. What do you think it is about these franchises that not only have inspired you, but made you want to write your own chapter within them?
No, it's funny. I don't know what it is. I think it's that storytelling, like, used to always be, around a campfire and some elder in a tribe would tell some story. And as a little kid, you'd listen to it and it'd really affect you. And then as you got older, you would tell the kids the same story, Yeah. And I think what you can argue with franchise and IP is that same thing of, like, you were told a story as a child. It really affected you for the better. And as you got older, you're itching to tell the same story to the next generation. And so being able to do Star Wars, Jurassic, Godzilla, I see it as like that. It's like these sort of timeless myths that you take what you loved about the previous ones and you try and add a little special thing of your own, mix it in, and then people do with it what they want in the next generation.
I do love that. And I love that folks are going to get to see this, and it's aptly titled, It's a Rebirth, Jurassic World. That's going to be so great. All right, let's dive into a few of the things that hopefully you've seen on the screen. So for this first one, I'm going to be giving you a movie quote, and hopefully you'll recognize it as something that you've seen on the screen. This one I really want to talk to you about. They're not people, Maya. They're just programming.
Well, that would be my previous film, The Creator.
I really do have to talk to you about this one because that one was such like a visual like achievement. Like the technology that you pioneered with that, like y'all literally like won awards for the sort of stuff that you put behind the scenes. Thinking about that in Jurassic World, talk about how you're really making this a very big presentation that folks are going to feel when they see it on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there are movies that you could skip slightly and maybe you do catch up with them on your TV at home one day, and it's just not true of a Jurassic film. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's an event movie. The best way to think that you're looking at a 30-foot dinosaur is to see a 30-foot dinosaur, you know, on a giant screen. And so these whole things were always conceived to be a theatrical experience, you know, and it's the look of this whole movie is very nostalgic. Like we shot it on 35mm film. We tried to give it that Kodak look from the films of the 80s and 90s that we grew up loving, because I wanted to take kids back to the feeling I had when I watched Jurassic Park the first time. And so we're definitely riffing off that vocabulary and trying to make it feel like, you know, going back to that early Spielberg. That is the reason I fell in love with cinema.
All right. I have to ask one question. One of the things when I sat here with John M. Chu and he was talking about Wicked, he talked about the 9 million tulips that he planted. I know you guys filmed in Thailand and you had all of these incredible things. What is something you can preview for us where it's like, we really put the grand scale of Universal Pictures out here to get this incredible shot? Can you preview anything like that? A great location or a great piece of production design that y'all did?
Yeah, well, one of them was grass. So there's a sequence, there's this tall grass in the movie. And I wanted to do this really kind of quite beautiful section of the film. I can't say too much, but where something's hidden in these tall grass. We looked all around Thailand, there's no tall grass anywhere. There was a little bit patches of it, but nothing on the scale we needed. So then we were like, can we plant this stuff? And they were like, you know, well, grass takes months to grow and we were shooting in like 4 weeks. So they flew the world's leading experts over. They looked at this field. They went, okay, I think we can do it. They got this particular type of grass and they laid this whole system and they had people 24/7 watering the field. And you're sitting there thinking, no way is this going to work. And we came back in 3 weeks and we actually panicked that it was too big. Wow. We might have to cut some of it down. And it was one of those things that only a massive movie like this can do, where you stood there and you're like, I can't believe this field didn't exist, like, you know, a month ago. And I'm so glad we did it. It's this really beautiful section of the movie.
Oh my God.
We're going to do one more of the quote questions. All right, here we go. God help us, we're in the hands of the engineers.
Well, that'll be Jurassic Park.
It will be Jurassic Park. Okay, I just have to say, I love hearing this story. You found out about basically that they were going to make another Jurassic World and they were looking for another director. And then you nerded out and geeked out over a 4-page write-up, like immediately, like dropped everything. Is this correct?
No, it was really weird. It was the day before. So something I do that's a bit, I don't know what it is, a bit strange, is I take one of my favorite films and I sort of analyze it and I just write why it's so good. And I try to do it in a very like general way, so that I can like learn like what's happening with this story, why is it so strong. And for whatever reason, I started putting Jurassic on for some other reason. And then I started sitting there going, okay, I want to analyze this. And I'd seen it a million times, but I just started going through, here's what I love about this movie. And I wrote like this 4-page document, saved it, was a little bit like, I don't know why I did that. And then the next day I got the call from my agent saying Universal have been on the line and they're interested. Would you be interested in doing a Jurassic film? And it was a bit like, and I said, like, that is so weird because I just spent yesterday watching it for like 6 hours, writing up why it's so good. And so it felt like the universe was sort of going.
I feel that is like, I mean, I've lived in California long enough. They say live long enough and you'll become like an astrology person. I'm like, the stars aligned. Like there was something about your like your big 3 that day that told you.
That same year when it was New Year's Eve, my girlfriend said, what do you want to do this New Year's Eve? I was like, I don't know. And so I said, let's go to Universal Studios and just go on the rides. And we just went on Jurassic World and then we went home. And it was like, didn't know that year was going to be the year I directed a Jurassic World film. So it was a bit a bit weird.
I really hope that continues, man. That does feel like you were typing into something really sort of special. So you did amazing. Let's go ahead and take a peek into another one of our popcorn buckets. And this one is true or false, though.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you another movie that you've seen on the screen. I'm going to give you a true or false question about it. And then you could sort of tell me if you have anything else to add to it. True or false, Jurassic World Rebirth has several key sequences that pay homage to Steven Spielberg's classic Jaws.
It definitely has one key sequence.
One key sequence. Can you preview a little bit for us what's coming?
Yeah, I mean, Steven with David Koepp kind of conceived this movie together.
Yeah.
And when I first read the screenplay, what was so great about it is it had all this Spielbergian DNA in the whole thing. And there was sections in it, and especially this one section where I was like, this is like Jaws. And I'd feel bad, like it was sacrilegious to do it if it wasn't the fact that Spielberg was handing it to you.
Yeah.
And so I had this like amazing license to go and make a film a little bit, paying homage to like one of my favorite films ever. It's basically where they're hunting the mosasaur. You'll see it in the trailer and stuff. It's obviously not Jaws, there's a lot of differences, but
The DNA is there.
yeah. We went to the Mediterranean and shot the whole thing on boats, and then using this giant tank next to the ocean to do all these crazy stunts and things. And it was like a solid month just for this one section.
So this is so interesting too about the Steven Spielberg of it all, because I'm sure he hears this from every single person who's ever picked up a camera about, you know what I mean, whatever. But what was it like working with him on this, and sort of like you said, having that person right there? I would imagine it'd be scary no matter what, but a little bit easier knowing that he was there to sort of help you with Frank Marshall and everyone else.
Yeah, he's like the sort of person that shouldn't exist. He's like Santa Claus, right? Of cinema.
Yeah.
And he's like, he shouldn't be real. He shouldn't be a physical person you can meet. So it's always weird, like when you end up in a room with him.
Yeah.
It always throws me. And what really threw me, because I wasn't expecting it at all, we were on set. There's a scene, I can't say too much about it, but there's a scene where we had all the actors and we're all on the edge of the water, and it was a night shoot. So we were in sync with America being awake. And suddenly Frank came up and just gave me this phone. And I looked, and it was FaceTime, and it was Spielberg. And he's like, hey, Gareth, when you're just not ready for this, and you're like, oh, hi, and you're tired, and you're like, oh, hi, Stephen, hi. And then like quickly pulling in the actors going, it's Spielberg.
Yeah.
And he was chatting to us, and he was really happy with what he was seeing. And so it was like a great moment, but it's all very surreal. Like, I honestly, it's only now getting to this place where the film's going to come out that you realize that you've maybe, made a Jurassic film. Because in it, we would just, our heads down.
Every shot, every day, every moment.
24/7, just like keep going. And you suddenly surface, and I see like family members sending me Dr. Pepper with one of our creatures on the side of the box, and you're like, hang on, how'd they get that? That's just from our edit suite. That's and you realize this is way bigger than us,
And that's saying something. You've done some big movies already. And I will say, if Steven Spielberg is sort of like Santa Claus, I feel like you got 3 fairy godmothers between Mahershala Ali, Johnny Bailey, and Scarlett Johansson. Talk about this cast that you assembled, because I do feel like it is another moment where you're sort of like dying in riches.
Yes. Well, that was what was so exciting about the screenplay, was that the characters really popped out, and the dynamic between them was really strong. And as a filmmaker, like one of the hardest things to do is get the characters right. And so the fact that it was already there, it felt a bit like, God, as long as I don't drop the ball, we're gonna have a really nice film. And then we ended up getting like Jonathan Bailey and Scarlett and Mahershala, and it's an embarrassment of riches, because they would make the editing really difficult, because normally when you shoot a film, I'm talking to you, you get me talking, and then I'd get you listening as well, right? Yeah. And normally you'd be lucky on an actor to get one moment you could use where they're listening. And instead you get like 10 moments where like you're feeling all their internal thoughts.
That's kind of our specialty.
So it was really slow to edit any scene, because everyone's like, everything's really good.
Yeah.
We could go to them, oh, that's really nice over there. And so it kind of slows you down when you've got that much talent. But I would take that any day over the other version.
I mean, yeah. I mean, listen, let's just give us the outtakes when it goes Peacock and when it goes on to physical media. Just make sure we can get all of the lovely blooper reels if they ever did actually mess up or like not have a great
Oh, there's plenty of that. No, but the thing is, we're all big kids.
Yeah, oh, wow.
And so there's a lot of messing around as well. Like there's a lot of outtakes of, I don't know if we can ever show them, but it was a very playful environment, actually.
All right. BTS behind the scenes. I would really like to see these guys. Help me out. Let's do one more. True or false? For your 2010 film Monsters, you created all 250 visual effects shots yourself at home.
Yeah, I might have. I didn't have a choice.
You didn't have a choice. You're like, there was nobody else to do it.
Yeah, I didn't have the money to go to Industrial Light Magic. So.
Well, this is true. Well, talk about coming from that moment of just like pure indie filmmaking and just trying to make something happen to now working with Jurassic World, where there's a ton of visual effects, obviously. We don't have dinosaurs, but there was also a real, almost like practical feeling to everything that they did in that first one. How did you sort of marry that over to make, even though there were a lot of visual effects, it still feel like you created these creatures from nothing?
I think the thing, if I learned anything from doing visual effects, is that it's always great to start with as much as you possibly can. So like, rather than, there's this temptation in modern filmmaking to make a big green screen, build a little set, and then put it all in the computer afterwards. And it's really hard to make things look good like that. It's way better, even if you end up replacing everything, to go shoot someone outside in a real location and have performers play the dinosaurs and everything, and you shoot it as if you're also looking at it. And then it makes life a lot, more realistic when the visual effects, then do their work. And so I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. You'll have to ask the visual effects.
Because you were one of them. Like, you acted out a few of these. Let's not talk about other people. Apparently, you were on set, like, acting out some of the dinosaurs and some of the shots.
You stay there, Audrina. It's right above you, okay?
You do it just subconsciously, and you go, and it comes in and it does this. And then we're like, do it again. Because they just want to embarrass you. And then you just see someone filming you, you're like, oh no. I get very self-conscious around the camera. So.
Oh, I'm sure you did great. I just love that you're like, yeah, I will act it out. But I love how you're thinking it's like, it's just them taking the mickey out of you, basically. You're like, this is not for real. They're actors. They can do it without me.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, you could act to a tennis ball, Scarlett Johansson, and give me right to
something
the tier.
Something I found, if you want to be an actor and a successful actor in Hollywood, is you've got to be really scared of tennis balls.
Really?
Yeah. If something traumatic happened to you, like your parents were killed at Wimbledon, you're going to go far.
If you could make that a tennis ball. I dig that.
Gareth can see the whole film in his mind. He's a very unique storyteller in that way.
What's going to happen? The water's just going to do this past you a little bit. And you're not sure. Was it just imagination?
One thing about Gareth Edwards is his understanding of visual effects is second to none. There was no fear about how he was going to create these dinosaurs.
Cut, very good.
Got that very good. Well done.
I can't wait for folks to see it. Gareth, thank you so much for
Thank you.
chatting
No,
with
thank
me
you.
on the things that you've seen on the screen. And yeah, can't wait to see it.